Our last journey through Essex revealed chilling hauntings, yet the county keeps more secrets. Tonight, we return to uncover 13 more haunted places where history and legend still linger. Colchester Castle, beneath the ancient stones of Colchester Castle, history weighs heavy. Built on the ruins of a Roman temple, it became one of England's most formidable Norman keeps. Its walls have witnessed trials, punishment, and death, and some say they hold the restless echoes of those who never left. One of the most enduring tales is that of James Parnell, a young Quaker preacher. In the 17th century, his words displeased the authorities, and for refusing to pay a fine, he was cast into the castle's dungeon. His cell was harsh and narrow, a place where cold stone offered no comfort. He weakened fell while trying to climb to his bed and died at just 19 years old. It is said that Parnell's spirit lingers still. For generations, visitors to the lower chambers have spoken of a presence in the gloom. Some describe the sound of chains dragging across the flagstones. Others have reported a figure in simple clothing, pale and thin, drifting near the old cells before fading into the walls. The chill that clings to the dungeon is often blamed on him. Though stories of his ghost once filled local lore, there have been fewer reports in recent years. Yet not all is silent. In 2021, a small group on a guided tour claimed they heard faint moaning echoing from the sealed-off passages. The guide insisted no one was below, yet the sound persisted until the group hurried back to daylight. Colchester Castle remains a proud monument to England's past, but for those who descend into its depths, the memory of James Parnell is more than history. Down in the darkness, with the air thick and cold, some still believe the preacher walks, reminding us of a fate too cruel to rest. Great Chaladan Hall. In Basildon stands Great Chaladan Hall, a manor whose age and quiet setting mask the unsettling tales that cling to its rooms. At first glance, it is no different from many old Essex houses, yet those who have lived or worked here speak of a presence that is impossible to ignore. One of the most enduring stories is that of a phantom schoolboy. Dressed in the cap and clothes of the 1940s, he has been seen lingering in the corridors, darting through the garden, and once even standing by the staircase as if waiting to be called to lessons long since ended. His figure fades quickly, but the echo of childish footsteps sometimes continues even when the halls are empty. But the boy is not alone. There are stories of other children too. Laughter heard upstairs when no one is there, or the sound of toys clattering across the floor in locked rooms. In the attic, a scullery maid has also been seen, her white cap and dark sleeves marking her as a servant of centuries past. She appears to move about her duties silently before dissolving into the shadows. One of the strangest details comes from the house's pets. More than once, a dog refused to step into the main living room, growling at an unseen presence. On another occasion, a visitor claimed that as she climbed the stairs, she felt a hand brush against hers, small, cold, and unmistakably childlike, though no one was near. Some say the spirits are echoes of families who once lived and worked here, their energy etched into the very timbers. Others suggest the hall has become a gathering place for restless children, lost too soon. Whatever the truth, the atmosphere of Great Chaladan Hall is thick with memory, and the sense of being watched is rarely far away. From the uneasy laughter of phantom children, our path now takes us to Beeleigh, where mist on the stairs and a woman in a long dress are said to haunt the Beeleigh Lodge. The Beeleigh Lodge, a modest inn on the edge of town, might appear welcoming and ordinary to passing visitors. Yet those who have stayed within its walls or worked in its rooms speak of a presence that makes the air heavy and the nights uneasy. The most enduring apparition is that of a young woman in a long dress. She has been glimpsed drifting across the bar area, her features pale and indistinct before vanishing at the foot of the staircase. Some describe the moment as strangely sorrowful, as if she were trapped in a memory she cannot leave behind. Stranger still is the phenomenon of the pink mist. Several guests have reported it, a soft haze-tinted rose forming on the stairs late at night. One guest claimed it swirled just ahead of her steps so thick she thought a fire had broken out. But when she reached to touch it, the mist dissolved into nothing, leaving only the silence of the stairwell. There are also the chilling touches, a sensation of cold fingers brushing against the shoulder, or a sudden pressure on the arm as if someone unseen is trying to guide or restrain those who pass. A former landlord confessed that he often felt this presence as he climbed to his room, so much so that he sometimes turned back rather than continue upstairs alone. Even his dog seemed to sense it, refusing on more than one occasion to enter the bedroom corridor, whining and retreating with ears pinned flat. Guests, too, have spoken of fleeting shadows sliding across the walls and doors unlocking themselves without cause. Some whisper that the young woman was once a servant, or a guest who met a tragic end, though no record can confirm her story. What is certain is the atmosphere she leaves behind, a mixture of sadness, unease, and the inescapable feeling that she is still watching from the stairs. And from Rayleigh, we travel to Chelmsford, where the halls of the Essex Regiment Museum hold not soldiers on parade, but the sound of a child's laughter in the dark hours before dawn. St. Nicholas Church. High on the hill above Chaladan, the spire of St. Nicholas Church cuts a lonely figure against the sky. By day, it looks like any quiet parish church with weathered stones and moss-grown graves. But as dusk falls, this place takes on another reputation. For generations, it has been whispered that Chaladan is the most bewitched village in all of Essex, and St. Nicholas stands at the heart of it. Ghostly women are said to walk the churchyard. One is seen in a bonnet, though inside the bonnet there is no face, only a shadow where features should be. She drifts through the western gate towards the River Crouch, appearing only on moonless nights. Some claim she has been seen inside the church, as well, moving silently among the pews before vanishing into the walls. Another phantom is described in a blue gown, wandering between the stones, while a third rides a sledge down the slope from the church towards the river. This last figure, a headless woman in silk, glides without sound, terrifying those who catch sight of her. The rectory drive is said to be haunted too, by a figure that appears briefly and then melts into the air. Local legend adds a darker warning. It is said that if one walks around the church 7 times on Halloween, a witch will appear before you. Others claim that circling the church anti-clockwise will summon the devil himself. Though most dismiss such stories as folklore, there are always those willing to test the tale. And in recent years, whispers suggest the stories are far from dead. In 2019, a small group of teenagers dared each other to circle the churchyard on Halloween night. They later described hearing low voices whispering from the gravestones, though no one else was there. One girl claimed her phone froze and played static until she crossed back over the Lich Gate. St. Nicholas Church remains a house of worship, but to many, it is also Essex's Church of Witches, a place where the border between the sacred and the spectral grows thin. In the stillness of its churchyard, when the moon hides her face, one may find that not all who walk here are among the living. The Greyhound. In the riverside town of Wivenhoe stands the Greyhound, a public house whose cheerful front and busy bar conceal stories that have unsettled both staff and patrons for generations. On the surface, it is no different from any other inn. Yet those who know it well speak of a lingering presence that refuses to leave. One of the most common complaints is that of vanishing objects. Keys, pens, and even cash have disappeared without explanation, only to turn up days later in odd corners of the building. Staff blame a mischievous poltergeist, one that seems particularly fond of disrupting their daily routines. Beer taps, too, have been found mysteriously turned off, leaving the bar suddenly silent and the cellar strangely still. Yet it is the smells that trouble people most. Time and again, the scent of cheap perfume has drifted through the rooms, sharp and cloying, even when no one is wearing it. Patrons wrinkle their noses, staff exchange uneasy looks, and the odor lingers before dissolving into nothing. Some claim it is the mark of a former landlady returning to ensure her presence is not forgotten. The cellar is where the atmosphere grows darkest. More than once, barrels have been heard shifting or rolling across the floor, only for staff to find them untouched when they investigate. One worker admitted that while descending the steps, he heard the distinct scrape of wood against stone directly behind him. When he spun around, the space was empty, save for the strong reek of perfume that seemed to hang in the air like a taunt. Locals tell of shadows seen flitting between the barrels, shapes too quick and silent to belong to the living. The sense of being watched is overwhelming, and few willingly go down alone. Dogs brought into the building have been known to bark furiously at empty corners, their hackles raised before retreating with their tails between their legs. The Greyhound may be lively by day, but as night falls, it belongs to something else, something mischievous, perhaps bitter, that makes its presence known through scents, sounds, and sudden silences. And from the haunted cellars of Wivenhoe, we move to Brentwood, where Dujont Manor is said to echo with a party in full swing, a celebration thrown by the dead that no guest dares to join. Dujont Manor. On the wooded edge of Brentwood sits Dujont Manor, a grand house with centuries of history. Once called the New World Inn, it was a place of entertainment and celebration where travelers rested and families marked their milestones. Yet some whisper that the laughter and music never truly faded, that even now the manor still hosts a gathering no living guest has ever seen. Late at night, staff have heard the unmistakable sound of a party in full swing. Glasses clink, voices rise in cheerful conversation, and music drifts faintly down corridors long emptied. Those who follow the sounds find themselves standing in deserted rooms, their footsteps echoing where the revelry should be. The heart of the legend lies in room 14. Guests say it is impossible to spend an entire night there without disturbance. The spirit of Mrs. Dujont, one of the former owners, is believed to remain, her presence so strong that visitors describe an oppressive heaviness filling the air. Some leave before midnight, unable to shake the sense of being watched. Others tell of strange encounters, the faint scrape of furniture moving when nothing has shifted, shadows slipping across the walls as though people are passing unseen, and soft strains of music with no source. One guest spoke of lying awake, paralyzed with fear, as footsteps crossed the room and halted beside the bed. She kept her eyes closed until dawn, her pulse racing, convinced she was not alone. Even members of staff admit privately that room 14 has a reputation. A maid once reported that as she closed the curtains, she caught the reflection of a woman in the glass, dressed in Edwardian style, watching her carefully. When she turned, the room was empty. Whether it is a lingering echo of countless parties or the restless energy of its mistress, Dujont Manor is said to keep its halls alive with phantom life. To enter is to risk hearing the past stir again, and to wonder if the celebration truly ever ended. And from Brentwood, we journey to the north, where the broken ruins of Walden Castle hide a different kind of haunting, one that returns faithfully every Christmas Eve. Walden Castle. In Saffron Walden, the remains of a Norman stronghold rise quietly above the town. Walden Castle is little more than a ruin now. Broken stone walls, ivy creeping over forgotten battlements. Yet each December, locals whisper that the past walks again within its shadows. The story tells of Geoffrey de Mandeville, a powerful baron of the 12th century, whose turbulent life ended in rebellion, betrayal, and a violent death. On Christmas Eve, it is said that his restless spirit returns to the castle he once commanded. He does not come alone. Alongside him appear the spectral forms of two children, their faces pale, their eyes unblinking, moving silently through the crumbling halls. Those who claim to have witnessed it describe a sudden chill in the night air sharper than the winter frost, followed by the faint echo of footsteps on stone. Then, as if drawn by some ritual known only to them, the figures of the baron and the children emerge in the ruin, their forms faint yet undeniable. Some say the children are victims of the harsh age he ruled over. Others believe they are his own, bound to him in death as they were in life. A local resident once told of walking by the ruins late on Christmas Eve, the town silent under fresh snow. He paused as he felt a strange stillness descend, and in the corner of his eye, he caught sight of three forms moving slowly through the shattered archway. When he turned fully, they were gone, though the prints in the snow led where no living foot could have walked. Legends insist that Geoffrey de Mandeville cannot rest, condemned to wander each Christmas Eve, a warning of ambition and cruelty carried into the afterlife. And the children, whether innocent or guilty, are bound to share his endless vigil. Walden Castle is a ruin by day, a relic for tourists and quiet walkers. But on the coldest night of the year, it becomes something else. A theater for a ghostly return that defies the centuries. From the crumbling stones of Walden, we move to a farmhouse pub, where the past is far from noble. There, an apparition with knife in hand lingers, still haunting Walton Hall Farm. Walton Hall Farm. In the village of Linford, Stanford-le-Hope, stands Walton Hall Farm. By daylight, it is a place of warmth, its bar alive with chatter and the clink of glasses. But when the lights dim and the crowds disperse, the atmosphere changes. Shadows gather in corners, and some say a figure begins his silent patrol. He is described as a short man, with a weathered face, baggy trousers, and a flat cap, the image of a farm laborer from decades past. Yet this figure is no ordinary remnant of memory. Witnesses say he moves with grim purpose, appearing in the bar before walking slowly towards the ladies' toilets. And there, with deliberate motion, he raises a knife and stabs it deep into a wooden pillar before vanishing into the air. Those who claim to have seen him speak of the uncanny realism of the moment, the scrape of metal against wood, the thud of the blade striking, followed by a silence so heavy it presses on the chest. Moments later, the pillar is found unmarked, no trace of violence, though the memory lingers long after. Staff working late at night have heard footsteps crossing the empty bar, measured and heavy, as though boots drag across the floorboards. One worker, locking up alone, swore she felt the air shift suddenly cold, followed by the sound of something striking wood just behind her. When she turned, there was only the quiet room, its stillness broken only by her quickened breath. Some suggest the apparition is a fragment of a violent story tied to the land, perhaps a quarrel, perhaps something darker. Others believe he is nothing more than a restless echo, endlessly repeating an act whose meaning has long been forgotten. Walton Hall Farm continues to thrive as a public house, but the legend of the knife-wielding phantom is never far away. For those who drink there, laughter may fill the evening, but in the silence that follows, the past waits with a blade in hand. From Linford, we journey east to the banks of the Thames, where the ghosts of Grey's Beach take form, not in shadowed corners, but in the open air, sailors' spectres, and a wail that chills the blood. Grey's Beach, along the edge of the Thames at Grey's, lies a stretch of shore that seems unremarkable by day. Families walk their dogs, children play, the river moves with its steady rhythm. But by night, this same beach becomes the stage for apparitions that have unsettled locals for generations. The most common figure is that of a spectral sailor. He is said to stand at the wheel of a phantom boat that glides silently across the dark waters. Witnesses describe his face as pale, his eyes fixed on the horizon, unmoved by the wind or tide. Some swear they can hear the creak of rigging and the faint splash of oars, though no vessel is ever there to be seen. But the sailor is not alone. Along the shore, a grey-haired lady wrapped in a white shawl has been reported more than once. One night, a man walking his dog stopped in terror as she appeared before him, rising suddenly into the air before rushing toward him with a banshee-like scream. The sound was so piercing he covered his ears, and when he looked again, she had vanished into the river mist. His dog cowered, refusing to move forward. Even the inanimate is not safe from disturbance. One witness recounted how a rubbish bin bolted firmly to the ground, lifted and hurtled toward him. He ducked instinctively, and when he dared look again, the bin was exactly where it had always stood, unmoved, fixed to its bolts, as if it had never stirred. Such stories might be dismissed as tricks of the tide or the imagination, stirred by fog, rolling off the Thames. Yet they persist, told and retold, with fresh urgency whenever someone else encounters the unexplained. For those who know the legends, Grey's Beach is a place where the river does not merely carry ships. It carries the voices of the restless dead. And from the haunted riverbank, our journey leads inland once more to a restaurant where footsteps, cold breezes, and furious hammering on a locked door suggest that some guests have never truly left. Sir Henry's Restaurant, on Romford Road in Aveley, Sir Henry's Restaurant welcomes diners with warmth, candlelight, and the clatter of plates. But when the evening draws in and the last guests depart, the restaurant takes on a character that no staff member truly welcomes. The building is known for its restless activity. Footsteps echo along the corridors long after the rooms should be empty, soft at first, then growing louder as if someone is pacing, circling, searching. Cold drafts move through the bar, even when every door and window is sealed. Some describe it as a whispering chill that strokes the skin before vanishing without a trace. But the most unnerving reports center around a heavy wooden door in the main bar. Staff say that at times it begins to shake violently as though struck from the other side by desperate fists. The hammering is so loud that glasses rattle on their shelves and the air vibrates with the force of it. Yet when the door is opened, nothing lies beyond but stillness. No intruder, no trick, only an empty space, silent, as though nothing had stirred it. One employee admitted to pausing paralyzed with fear as the door shuddered and bucked against its hinges. She held her breath, waiting for it to splinter, convinced something furious was trying to get through. But then it stopped as abruptly as it began, leaving only the echo of her own heartbeat in the silence. Some diners have felt it too. A sudden breeze across their shoulders, a movement in the corner of their vision, the soft tread of footsteps approaching their table, with no waiter in sight. Many laugh it off, but those who work here know the stories too well. They say Sir Henry's is not only a place to eat, it is a place where unseen guests continue to arrive uninvited, yet never gone. From the restless bar of Beeleigh, our path leads to Little Wakering Hall, where tragedy and heartbreak gave rise to one of Essex's most chilling phantoms, a woman forever seen without her head. Little Wakering. On the quiet lanes near Little Wakering stands an old house, long wrapped in uneasy stories. To passers-by, it looks like many others, its walls weathered by time, and its chimneys rising above the trees. Yet the tales that cling to it speak of despair, tragedy, and an apparition no traveller forgets. Locals say the ghost belongs to Betty Berry, a woman who ended her life in the attic after her lover rejected her. In the years since, her restless spirit has been seen within the house and along the lane outside, but she does not appear as she was in life. She is said to wander without her head, her figure moving slowly through the dusk, her presence heralded by the faint tolling of a bell that rings by itself. Witnesses describe seeing her glide from the churchyard towards the marshes in autumn, her form drifting above the ground, the trees shaking as if brushed by a sudden wind. Others say she appears in the attic window, headless but still upright, watching silently as though waiting for someone who never came. One story tells of a man cycling down the lane at dusk who felt the sudden weight of dread pressing on his chest. Looking up, he saw a pale shape moving ahead of him, gliding soundlessly across the road. As it passed beneath the hedgerows, he realized with horror that it had no head upon its shoulders. His bicycle veered into the ditch, and by the time he scrambled up again, the lane was empty, the silence absolute. The bell, too, is part of her legacy. It is said to swing in its tower, with no hand upon the rope, the sound carrying through the night, as though to mark her passing again and again. Whether born of grief punishment or restless memory, the headless lady of Little Wakering has become one of Essex's most chilling phantoms. And from these quiet lanes, our journey moves to Walden, where an ancient abbey carries centuries of whispers, monks, noblemen, and a headless traitor whose screams are said to echo still. Beeleigh Abbey, just outside Walden, tucked away in a quiet corner of the countryside, stands Beeleigh Abbey. From the outside, its walls and gardens speak of calm seclusion, a house steeped in history but preserved with care. Yet behind this tranquil appearance lies a legacy of betrayal, blood, and apparitions that refuse to fade. The most chilling story belongs to Sir John Gate, a Tudor courtier who was executed for treason in 1553 after throwing his support behind Lady Jane Grey. On the anniversary of his death, 22nd August, he is said to return to the abbey he once called home. Witnesses tell of his headless figure appearing in the James Room, his screams echoing through the halls. The terror is not only seen, but felt. Some who slept in the room spoke of being shaken awake, their beds trembling violently, as though something was trying to wrench them from sleep. One woman even reported waking with a searing pain in her arm, marked by a bruise she could not explain. There are other presences here too. On 11th August, the sound of crying is said to drift through one wing of the house, soft at first, then rising into sobs. No cause has ever been found. Spectral monks have also been seen wandering the grounds, their hoods low, their faces hidden, crossing silently into shadows that swallow them whole. Perhaps most unsettling is the impression said to appear on the bed in the James Room, the deep weight of a human body pressing into the mattress as though someone lies there invisible. Those who have witnessed it say the mark remains even after the bed is remade until the dawn light finally clears it away. Beeleigh Abbey may appear serene to the casual visitor, but to those who know its tales, the stillness hides centuries of unrest. And as we leave Walden behind, our path carries us back to Colchester, to the ruins of an ancient priory where a smiling figure lingers among the broken stones. St. Botolph's Priory. In the heart of Colchester stand the ruins of St. Botolph's Priory. Its arches rise broken against the sky, its walls open to the weather, a reminder of centuries of devotion now left to time. By day, the site is peaceful, a place for walkers, children, and the curious. But when evening falls, its shadows deepen, and another story begins. Among the crumbling stones, witnesses have spoken of a dark figure. At first, it appears only as a silhouette, a shape that lingers at the edges of vision. Yet on rare occasions, it has drawn close enough for its face to be seen. To the astonishment of those who have encountered it, the figure is not snarling or empty, but smiling. One woman recalled walking through the ruins at dusk when she felt a sudden hush fall around her. Looking to the archway, she saw the outline of a tall man, still as a statue. As her heart raced, she dared to meet his gaze. The figure turned slightly, and a faint, unmistakable smile crossed his shadowed face before he faded into the stones. Some believe the spirit is a remnant of the priory's monks, perhaps one who found peace even in death, choosing to linger not in malice, but in quiet guardianship. Others see the smile as a sign that not all hauntings are born of torment, that some echoes of the past return not to frighten, but to remind us of the resilience of faith, even in ruin. In this way, St. Botolph's Priory offers a rare ending among ghost stories. It is a haunting, yes, but one that carries a strange calm, a smile in the dark, a reminder that even in the most ruined of places, there can be fragments of grace. Our walk through haunted Essex ends here. Which tale chilled you most? Leave a comment, like the video, and join Creepy Experience for more journeys into Britain's haunted past.